Welcome back, loyal listeners, to Season 2, Episode 7 of the Point 3 podcast. It is Wednesday, June 5th, and we are thrilled to have you join us once again. I am Lou, alongside Hero Scroll, and of course, Spider Brando, your favorite trio of hosts. Today, we are talking and jumping into the latest superhero news and the hottest pop culture buzz from the past week. And we're going to be chatting about the MCU and the DCU. So, get your thoughts, get your keyboards, get them all ready, and let's get into another great episode. We are going to be starting with some of the three most important things that the Point 3 podcast always talks about every single video. Shout out to all you loyal listeners. You should know what we're talking about, but it's going to be keep watching, keep reading, keep nerding out. I'm going to kick you off. What's worth watching? We're going to be touching on it a little bit in the news, but I have to say, gents, Godzilla -1 on Netflix. Saw it in theaters. It was subbed. I watched it dubbed. I have to give kudos to the voice actors who just put on an absolute voice acting spectacle for what they overlaid from the English voice actors. It was really, really, really strong. Main character felt like a main character. So that's one of my biggest gripes with a lot of English versions of some of the best content we got. But Godzilla -1. It's clutch.
Yeah. Shout out to them just shadow dropping it.
Yeah.
And being like, hey, here's a teaser that nobody knew what it meant. It was just Godzilla -1 poster with red text, and everybody was freaking out. And then in the middle of the night, they're like, by the way, you can watch it. Netflix, of all places.
Crazy. Well, I hear the black and white version is coming soon too to Netflix, so that'll be. I'm probably gonna wait to watch that because I haven't seen that before.
Yeah,
I do really want to rewatch it. That movie was amazing, and for anyone that hasn't watched our Godzilla -1 review, it's somewhere. It's down on our channel, so go watch it. It was a great video. I was not there for it, but I wish I was. Hero and Lou killed it, so great video.
But Spider Brando, what did you keep reading?
I read a lot this past weekend. I read Dark Web Marvel comic series. I finally finished it. I've used it as a keep reading once before, but I have now finished it, and I highly, highly recommend it. It's a little slow moments here and there, but running off of X-Men 97 and kind of getting Goblin Queen in this, getting like a Spider-Man X-Men crossover was freaking cool. And I don't really know much about Ben Reilly or like the clone chasm Ben Reilly whole story arc. So that was cool to get introduced to that. And there's just a bunch of cool characters in here. It's got its flaws, but I recommend it. Next up is my Superior Spider-Man Omnibus. I'm going to commit to it. But I said that a year ago about the Spider-Verse Spider-Geddon.
Wasn't going to call you out on that, but I was like, I hope you finish it because it's a great ride. But yeah, no, I've heard decent things about Dark Web, so I think that's one of those stories that if you like Ben Reilly's character, if you like, I think Goblin Queen, right? Madeline Pryor is one of the main characters.
It was them two that were kind of like causing all the chaos, essentially. Yeah, had a nice resolution to it. But yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, no, for sure. As far as nerding out, there's a lot of different things, right? And as I keep thinking about it, the only thing that comes to mind right now, just because of the hype and a lot of different things around it, Wolverine. Just nerd out about Wolverine. I know we picked him like a couple of weeks ago, but Wolverine is just that guy. In part, due to a 2-pack that I got in today for Marvel Legends. It is the Sabretooth and Wolverine 2-pack. part of the 50th year Wolverine. Good little cowboy Wolverine, and then this good old Sabretooth. So, but yeah, Wolverine again. We got that. We got Deadpool and Wolverine coming up. We got a crazy popcorn bucket reveal. When was it, last week? So, it's a good time to be a Wolverine fan.
Beginning of the bucket wars.
Are they all going to have open mouths though?
I mean, pass. Pass. I can't. Dune. Although I will say, I think Dune definitely takes the cake. Is like, what are we doing? What are we doing here?
And they knew.
Yeah,
They knew until the only thing that can beat it is if they redo another re-release of the Star Wars movies and they do a Sarlacc pit.
Nope.
Popcorn bucket. So
that would be crazy.
You just spoke it into an existence. So
hey, AMC or Regal or whoever, we want our check because we know you're going to do it. So make sure you write the check out to Point 3 Podcast because that's your $1 million idea right there.
Yeah. We'll flag them for a copyright.
Yeah. Be like, actually, you need to pay us.
Regal used to write me checks, so they got my info already.
Exactly. Yeah. They already got that direct deposit.
Yep. All right. Well, let's shift gears. Let's catch up on the latest news and notes. We're gonna hit some superhero and pop culture scene. Rapid fire news. First up, we have some general news. Spider Brando, I'm gonna let you kick these ones off because curious on your thoughts on the first couple.
Okay. So we have some Star Wars news. Not much that we really cover, just because we have so much to cover. Star Wars kind of gets on the back burner a little bit, but we got the Acolyte TV show debuted at 86% on Rotten Tomatoes after its first 2 episodes. I've heard a lot of mixed things about it. I'm very interested into watching it. I just haven't had the time yet. Kind of wanted to just pile up to binge all at once, but I'm intrigued by it. I like the whole prequel era of Star Wars and like High Republic. It's something we haven't really seen in Star Wars media, so hopefully there's some tie-ins. Rumors has it that there like will not be, but the timeline adds up that like there 100% should be. So we'll see. Have you guys watched it yet?
No. Probably be something that I think kind of like you said, I'll put it on the back burner until it's all out and then run through it all. I'm just glad that again it seems like Star Wars is starting to build a little more like steam ahead in terms of fan reception of things, because from what I heard, this one takes a lot of risks in terms of like story and like visual effects and stuff, like trying new things with lightsabers and new weapons, like introducing those types of things to the lore of Star Wars. So I think Star Wars has desperately needed to step away from the Skywalker story. And I know they've been doing it with things like Mandalorian and what you call it? Like things like Bad Batch. Ahsoka does, but at the same time doesn't, because it leans into the Anakin stuff a little bit. It's well done though, don't get me wrong, but I still think it uses it as a crutch a little bit.
Yeah.
So when things are hopefully right, I haven't seen it, so I could very well be wrong, but when Star Wars goes away from it completely, I think that's when Star Wars is at its most interesting. So I hope this is what this delivers on that.
I have to say real quick on this, I'm not interested from a Star Wars perspective to see this. However, I really like the cast. Daphne Keane, as we remember, who played Laura Kinney in Logan. Manny Jacinto is in it. Lee Jung Jae, Carrie Ann Moss. Like, there are just some people who I just love how they act. And I don't know, I think I'm actually going to take this, as a binge. But I mean, an 86% debut is not bad.
It's enticing.
Yeah.
Especially for Star Wars.
Yeah.
Well, moving on, we got A Quiet Place. Day 1 poster came out, and I got to screen share it because it is a chef's kiss of a poster, in my opinion. I saw it on my feed, and it just like took me by storm. I had to pause just to see it, and boom. So look at that. So obviously, it's a prequel of the how A Quiet Place started and when the sound went away. So they took a city skyline, designed it like a sound wave, flattened it out at the end to show you had to be quiet, and cities were pretty much no longer cities. I think that's a beautiful freaking poster. It's just symbolic, double innuendo, you could say, and whoever designed it, they get chef's kiss.
Oh, you beat me to it.
Yeah.
This is just like great marketing right there. And I hope the marketing leans into like cool stuff like that. Because they even have this stuff coming from the bottom of like the slashes. Oh, it's just beautiful.
Yeah, this is very well done. When I saw this and you were talking about it, I was like, holy crap. Like, it's a statement.
Yeah. It grabs your attention very easy. Which it's like, again, you would think that such a simple poster wouldn't, because it seems like it's just the New York skyline. But to put something so familiar and tie it into your movie, well done. Well done.
Yeah.
Give that man, woman, whoever they are, give him a raise.
It was AI. What are you talking about?
Oh,
I'm just kidding.
Just kidding. No. Oh, no.
No secret invasion on us.
No, this is one of my favorite like promo pieces of probably anything to date so far this year.
Yeah.
I agree. Well, I got to stop that screen share. Let's moving on. We got some Pixar news as well. General news goes all over the place. Pixar is refocusing its creative direction behind movies as they want more want their studio movies should be less a pursuit of any director's catharsis and instead speak to a commonality of experience. So in the past, many directors would just take like whatever feeling like tale story that they wanted to write about and resonate with, which usually would have a lot of appeal to more like masses and stuff, given how successful they were. So it's kind of weird that they're like making this a statement and like publicizing it.
Yeah, it seems like they're still trying to like go through this weird, what's the word I'm trying to say? Restructuring phase, I think. Because it seems like with the pandemic, they switched to a different model of releasing movies. And again, because of the pandemic, releasing them on Disney Plus, right? It's changed a lot of things for them, and it changed the reception to some of their movies. So, for example, in the past like 4 years, they've released Onward, Soul being like the first big one that was on Disney Plus. Had a lot of negativity about it going straight to Disney Plus and not really having a box office run. Luca, Turning Red, which was one of their huge hit when it came out. And then I think no less than 2 months later, one of their bigger duds, if I remember correctly, with Lightyear. And then last year, another dud in the box office, but somehow had incredible legs, was Elemental.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think they want to find that hit again, like that big, massive Pixar hit. Again, Turning Red did have that, but it was, again, hindered by, in a way, releasing on Disney Plus. So, for example, Inside Out 2 is a week or so away.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see how that does. But yeah, it's just odd because it does feel like most of these movies have their own feel and their own communal experience, like they say they want to focus on, especially things like Turning Red, Elemental, Inside Out 2, seemingly.
This just feels like more Disney fluff being sprinkled on top of things to to reset fans' mindset of what a movie is. And just because they say it, I personally don't think anything else is changing. I think it has been exactly and I don't know, I haven't been in the room, but this just feels like, I'm just going to say it to say it. It's already been done. It's going to move out, and people are going to be like, oh my gosh, they should be changing things. And it comes out, and they're like, this is great. You guys, so glad you guys changed your direction. Yeah. And they're sitting here like idiots. Like we didn't do anything else.
I was going to say, it feels more like a look at our comment. Don't look at the fact that we laid off, I think, what was it, like 30% of their studio a couple weeks ago. Don't look at that. Look at our comments about how we're changing our creative decision, even though it's basically the same exact thing.
Yeah. Is this okay? Let me ask this question to both of you. Do you think that them being as vocal as they've been on these new directions, do you think fans are going to catch on and feel that nothing is really any different? Or do you think people are going to generally just buy into this and, if a good movie comes out, it falls under this creative refocusing and it's a positive, and they're so glad that, Disney and crew decided to change things? Like, will it work?
I don't know. To be honest, I don't really know how to answer that.
And I only say that from like a social media perspective of like how people take these movies and really break them down, like especially on TikTok, like for example, Little Mermaid and all those types of things. And like, there's a lot of analysis that goes into a lot of these movies.
I would say, I think some people will catch on if you're more like hardcore into film. But it's kind of the same way with the MCU stuff and Bob Iger and his comments about like, oh, we're reeling back and all that garbage. I just feel like it's the same thing, that if you're someone who really doesn't care about it overall, you're going to watch some of these movies and you're not going to watch some, and that's it. That's that. But if you're heavy into it, you're going to, call their bluff, call them out for their garbage, and then still probably show up for the movie. So
yeah. Fair enough. Shall we move on to the DCU news?
We shall.
All right.
We got another casting call for Superman. Not Legacy no more, but Superman. And James Gunn confirms Beck Bennett from Saturday Night Live, I believe, will play Daily Planet reporter Steve Lombard via Instagram threads. I don't know what is considered now, but just threads. And James Gunn once again setting the record straight, confirming a rumor, just announcing something himself. We love to see it all the time. What are your guys' thoughts? I don't really know much about this reporter because I'm kind of, just getting into my Superman phase.
Yeah.
But he's funny on SNL from what I've seen. So Probably be like a nice, cool office side character for Clark.
100%. Clark, Lois, just maybe a little bit of comic relief, but I feel like this guy can play a serious role. Like I feel like he can blend and kind of be whatever it is they need him to be for those moments that he's, on screen.
Yeah.
So notable person though, that's a plus.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Hero's like, nah, I got nothing.
I don't know who this guy is. I'll be honest. It's one of those like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah,
Let's keep going.
Yeah.
Well, moving on to some other Superman stuff while we're at it. We got the Kent family farm location has been revealed in Georgia. And bear with me as I pull up a screen share for it. Boom. Had a lot of critique. Not gonna lie. There's a lot of people comparing, saying how boring and stupid it looks compared to past Clark farms. It's just a farmhouse. Like, who really cares?
I was gonna say the same thing.
People can't be happy with anything nowadays. It's gonna be in the movie for probably a decent amount of time, but it's a house.
I mean,
I think we've all driven on the highway past like a farm like this. We're like, there's a farm, there's cows, there are animals. Like, it's a farm.
Yeah. Isn't it funny though? Because like part of the appeal of Ma and Pa Kent and the Kent farm is that it's supposed to be like the everyman, so if they own like a 20-acre farm, they clearly have a lot of money. This is like a very, modest, a house that you or me can own. And that's about it. It's a house. Get over it. And I'm sure that if they want, they'll build onto it. If they want to build an extra part of the set, because this is just a picture of a plain house. So if they want to spruce it up, they will. If they don't, they don't.
Yeah. It looks like he's got a lot of land, and that's all that matters for a farm. So, for comparison, here is another version of the Clark family house.
CW special.
So,
I won't.
This one's cool, but
I thought this was Brightburn for a second.
Just because he's floating.
Yes.
I'm like,
we should at some point talk about that.
I have to watch that.
I watched
it before.
I don't think I ever finished it.
It's okay. The only reason I want to talk it is because James Gunn's name is attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder what, keys he'll take from that and notes and stuff. Anyways, that's a future episode though. So come back to the point 3.
Did Zack Snyder do that movie?
No, he did not. He stayed far away from that movie.
Good. I don't know why. I feel like it was a
4-hour movie.
Yeah, I can't remember the director, but I know James Gunn was a producer. I think he was something to it.
Let's find out.
What was what the interweb say?
It was David Yarovesky. It was the director, produced by James Gunn and Kenneth Huang. I butchered that last name, but I remember I was working at the theater when this came out. I would do like the theater checks for it. It seemed solid.
Wow, do we have an update for Brightburn 2? What? Screen Rant's got some news the end of March. I'm just saying.
Imagine if we are gonna see Superman next year, a month from now.
James Gunn says it's likely to never happen.
Yeah, but with good reason. There's a good reason why not. I'm not saddened to hear this, but imagine that, because this is very possible, incredibly possible, that if you go back, there was a rumor that Ultraman was going to be the villain of this
Uh-oh.
movie. So imagine if we live in the universe where James Gunn just takes the kid from Brightburn and makes him Ultraman.
I mean,
That would be interesting.
the internet would
very
never let that go.
Nope.
They'd never let that go.
They wouldn't. But I won't lie. It's an interesting idea. In the same way that Sony should have made what was that one horror movie that they're in space?
Oh, Venom 2.
Yeah. What was you know which one I'm talking about though, right? With Jake Gyllenhaal?
Oh,
Ad Astra? No.
No.
The one where they're in space and it's a little alien thing that takes
Not
over the
Elysium
ship.
or something like that. Dang.
Yeah, in the same way Sony should have made that like a secret Venom movie. James Gunn, Dylan,
Life?
thank you.
Life.
Yep, life.
Life, dude. I remember I wanted to see that movie so bad.
It's decent. It's not bad.
I was working in the theater during that too.
It's pretty decent. But yeah, listen, James Gunn is a mad scientist, so I wouldn't be surprised if there is at least one Easter egg in Brightburn in Superman somehow. Yeah. Actually, I'll put this down. If there is a Brightburn Easter egg in Superman, we will give something away. Mark it down. We'll give something Superman related away. Something. If there is, and it has to be like a clear Brightburn reference. Not no weird. He did put the slugs from Slytherin Garden. He did. That's what I'm saying. So I don't know if it'll happen though, because that seems kind of deep cut for some people, but
Interesting. Okay. All right.
3. What is your thoughts on Beck Bennett as Steve Lombard? We just talked about that actually before you came in, Hunter. Good casting, good announcement from James Gunn. We don't know who Steve Lombard is though, that much, but we're excited.
This is going to be one of those characters where people who are like, oh, is it going to be comic accurate? It's going to be whoever the James Gunn and everyone decides it's going to be. I think it's more of a name at best, and that's kind of it. Next DCU news: Lanterns eyeing to shoot beginning of 2025 in the UK, and it is said that DC is looking for an actor to play Hal Jordan between the age of 43 and 49, and a Jon Stewart between 27 and 35 years old. Hero Scroll, what do we think of an older Hal and a younger-ish Jon Stewart?
I'm excited. I think that's the best way to go, honestly. If you're in a universe where that's already established ahead of time, I think Hal Jordan being the mentor role, especially the mentor Green Lantern, I think makes a lot of sense. And having the story focus on Jon Stewart, perfect. Like eventually, if you make him Parallax, if you phase him out, and eventually want to make his grand return in some other way, you set yourself up well for that. But fans have been wanting for a long time now a Jon Stewart focused live action, and I think this is finally his time where we know he's good at it from animation, we know he's good for it in terms of comics, and now he's getting his chance to shine in live action, as he should have way before, to be quite honest.
Mm-hmm.
We were fiending for it when it came to the CW shows, so it's due time.
Would you consider this would you consider it a chef's kiss?
I would.
Boom.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Just
Kyle
think
Rayner-
about this. No. Go ahead.
I would say hopefully Kyle Rayner down the line too for you, Hero. I know you're super into him.
Yeah.
I still got my compendium somewhere back
Yeah.
there in my to be read file.
Well, 2025 is coming up quick, so you better jump on reading that. We know how long it takes sometimes for you to get this. But no, I think about this though, guys. We have Superman dropping in 2025, Lanterns likely shooting in 2025, Supergirl 2025. Like the DCU, we're gonna have some really, really good stuff in 2025. Some of their stronger beginning chapter projects to really kind of float around Superman. And I mean, that's what it comes out. What, July of 2025? Do we say?
Yeah, July.
Yep. July 7th, I believe.
Yeah.
If they're eyeing to shooting that, we'll get some good leaks. We'll probably get.
Think
I mean,
about it.
leaks are bad. But images, certified images. You know, James Gunn's going to be all over that and peppering in the good stuff for us.
Oh, for sure. Because that was going to be my next point. Because we're still a little over a year out from Superman. We already have an official costume image.
Yeah.
So imagine when we get our official Lanterns image of both, John and Hal Jordan. It's going to look great. I'm excited. I'm really excited for this. It's been back-to-back weeks where we've gotten at least like some updates, and I'm glad that it's getting the ball rolling. And it really seems like besides this or Superman and then Supergirl, this is like the next major project that the DCU is focusing on, because I feel like they know what they have with the Lanterns. It's an untapped gold mine for them.
If only Sony knew how to use theirs.
We ain't talking about Sony.
Forget Sony.
We're not talking about Sony.
No. Oh, I forgot about this next piece. Is important too.
Yeah. Creatures Commandos. First look next week at the, I don't know how to say that, Annecy,
I think.
Annecy Film Festival. Creature Commandos being the animated series that includes a lot of characters that a lot of people don't know. But I remember that Joe Manganiello, is Rick Flag Sr.?
Frank Grillo. Is it Frank Grillo?
There you go. Yeah. Yes. They're similar.
Yeah.
Being Rick Flag Sr. is the voice actor, and I think so a lot of other people as well. Very talented, but I just forget who everybody right off the bat. But
Sean Gunn is in it. Zoe Chow.
Yeah.
And didn't James Gunn, he wrote this and right?
I think he helped in part of it, yeah.
Did he? Yeah. So it'll be kind of nice to see how they kind of set some things up. My concern for this is that it feels too Peacemaker-ish in a way. I hope it doesn't. I don't think it will, but I just we'll see. I think it'll have a stark contrast between Superman and this, and then obviously Peacemaker with James Gunn being so close to these. So it'll be interesting to see the dynamic between each of those three projects.
It's also exciting that this is technically the very first DCU official canon project. I guess not official canon, but official fresh entry into the DCU.
Yeah. Well, here's the question I was going to ask you guys. Do you think this is the opportunity for them to set the precedent of animation being into your live action universe, like connecting into it? Is this where you kind of start with that? Because, I mean, if you really think about it, what does Creature Commandos have to lose?
Oh, nothing. I mean, you can go back to last year. I think we talked about there's certain things the DCU is going to do that people have been asking the MCU to do, and the MCU really hasn't. And that's a solid concrete project that is fully canon. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. There's no questioning. There's no hints. There's no Easter eggs. Nothing. It just is. And it's going to carry over to live action. So from a storytelling perspective, I think it's genius. I think it'll be fantastic. Visually, I mean, it's Wednesday. We're all still probably in our X-Men 97 hangover. But by the point this comes out, I think it'll look great. DC, I'll be curious what they pulled from an animation perspective, from DC animation. But I wholeheartedly think this is a massive step in the right direction to have animation be canon with live action and getting people used to it.
Yeah,
I fully agree. Another actor I just came across that's in it is David Harbour as Eric Frankenstein. So he's probably going to be very, very popular character in there. Frankenstein is like the leader of Creature Commandos, I believe.
Yeah, that'll be good. That'll be good. Interesting to see the character design.
Yep.
Yeah,
that they do.
Yeah. Hopefully.
But
that is it for the DCU news, I believe, unless I missed something.
Nope.
We do have Dylan saying he wants Swamp Thing sooner rather than later.
Yes, please.
And DC project he's looking forward to the most. Did
we have that?
Huh?
Did we all have that on our future DC projects we want to see characters? Do we all have Swamp Thing?
I know you did.
Yeah, no, I definitely did.
I don't think I did. I'm not gonna lie. But
We'll have
he's
to rewatch
definitely
our
up
video.
there.
Fair enough.
Yeah, we're not on point with point 3 right there.
No.
But into some Marvel news. Before we get into the Marvel news, just want to thank everybody here. We are 2 subscribers away from 100, which is a huge milestone for us. So if you are watching this and you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. We appreciate it. If not, just continue liking the videos and supporting us. We also appreciate that. And let's get into some Marvel news. Got No Way Home re-release. Finally it came out. End of Spider Mondays, and it had a $475,000 opening day, which makes it the highest of Tom's trilogy for his Spider Monday releases. Kind of a no-brainer. That is the highest. It's culmination of Spider Monday, you could say. And people still want to see that movie for the event type feel compared to Homecoming Far From Home that has just been on streaming for quite some time. So I'm happy it's got a decent amount. It's not the highest. I believe Spider-Man 2 still has the highest opening day. But we'll see overall how it compares by the end. You're comparing all the final official numbers at the end of this week.
Does that officially put it over 2 billion?
Oh.
I thought last time I saw it was at like 1.9.
Let's do a fact check real quick.
Kind of cool. Way home.
Yeah, that should put it over. It was at 1.916.
9.1.
So if the re-release counts towards that record, then boom.
Should.
I was gonna say it counted for all 18 re-releases of Avatar.
Yeah, that's true.
So I don't see why I wouldn't for this.
Yeah.
I'm surprised not many more people are talking about that today now.
I think they might wait until like at least a week.
Yeah.
Like till next
so it's
week
final run.
Yeah. Till its final run is done, and then tally at the full number, and then be like, all right, here's the new official number.
Well, you guys heard it here first. No Way Home cracked $2 billion. I'm gonna get on that news play. I'm gonna get on that news post as soon as we're done, so we can claim it. Everybody else is copyrighted.
But SB, hit the people with our first mini deep dive that we have coming up.
So we got Shawn Levy director of Deadpool and Wolverine, is the favorite to direct Avengers 5. So my question to you guys, is this a good decision for Avengers 5 and potentially some continuity between Deadpool and Wolverine into Avengers 5? It might not feel like such a one-off anymore.
I'm gonna say no. I think this is still Deadpool and Wolverine is going to be its own thing, and Avengers 5 will be its own thing. Because I think Marvel still has a set plan of what they want Avengers 5 to be. And Shawn Levy would just come in and, again, per the title, be the director and direct the feel of the movie. It seems like they have high confidence in him, clearly, because they gave him essentially one of the biggest risk projects in Deadpool and Wolverine. And it seems like from everything that we've heard so far and from what the actors are saying, they've had a great time on set. And it seems like Marvel is really confident in what Deadpool and Wolverine's doing. After the Russos leaving, after Taika Waititi falling off, Marvel needs a new champion in a way, like a new name that they can attach to these movies. And if you have someone like Shawn Levy, the guy who made what maybe could be a month from now one of the best Marvel movies we've ever seen, depending how it goes, it's a good marketing decision as well. I did read, though, that they actually offered Levy the position way back in March.
Damn.
But he said no because of time commitment issues. And I think they delayed something, or they moved something around for the door for him to come back. So I think if Marvel's willing to do that, I feel like he will probably come back. And I'm also sure they're probably throwing a butt ton of money at him, trying to lure him back. So I wouldn't be surprised if he takes the job.
Do you think he will also get Secret Wars just so they keep director continuity, like how Russo's had Infinity War and Endgame? Throw that to you, Lou.
I think that would be a logical step. To me, this is signifying, hey, we want someone who can balance characters, right? It kind of feels like Deadpool and Wolverine will have a lot of cameos, right? Like they're tripling down on that. But I think Avengers 5 is kind of a blend and an introduction in a way. Because it's exactly how Deadpool and Wolverine feels. You're getting introduced to a bunch of characters. There are going to be a lot of moments. And how do you balance that as a director to put the best product forward? Where Avengers 5, we just talked about it. It's almost a decade by this point when this releases, if it's on time. It's kind of like, allow me to reintroduce myself. We are, the MCU and the Avengers type of thing. And there's a level of like showmanship and epicness that Shawn Levy brings to kind of his projects, and it feels like it's going to be like that for Deadpool and Wolverine. So I don't know, man. There's something about Marvel Studios to where they kind of bridge a good movie to kind of pull that actors group in, pull the directors in, similar to how it was with Loveness, Quantumania, and then what was supposed to be King Dynasty. Like that thread was supposed to carry over, and there were rumors of Secret Wars as well. I wouldn't be surprised if Deadpool and Wolverine does really good, that they try to sign Shawn Levy on for 2 Avengers films. I think that would just make sense, and it's probably better for us, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no reason if you bring him for 5, you don't bring him for Secret Wars. Like, there's really not any good reason to change director. Because obviously each director has their own feel. So even if you were to bring back the Russo brothers, which I know a lot of people want, but if you give Levy 5 and then the Russo brothers Secret Wars, it's going to feel like 2 different movies.
Mm-hmm.
And I think part of what works for Infinity War into Endgame is just they feel like the same movie, like a continuation of one.
Yeah.
So I don't know. The 60 character thing, though, kind of.
What's that? What's that?
So it was reported also, I think at around the same time yesterday or the day before, that it's Deadline said up to 60 characters could return in Avengers 5. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but me personally, it's not that I don't want it, but what do you mean? You know what I mean? Like, what? Because when I think of 60 characters, I can't think of 60 MCU characters that I want to see on screen. I can think about 15 to 20, but I
think
can't
about
think of
Deadpool and
60.
Wolverine though. Fox, MCU, right? If they're really saying like, hey, we're going to open up all franchises, all legacy, all timeline, you got to think that takes a special person to kind of sit in the control room and to be like, hey, let's pull this character in, pull them in, shoot over to this person. Here's this. Like, this takes someone like insert those gifs where it's like, you know, Alan from The Hangover is doing all the math and all the numbers are floating around. Like, that's how I feel about how Shawn Levy's doing Deadpool Wolverine. So if he has like 20, 30 characters, I mean, that's a challenge. But like, if they're backing up a dump truck and dumping cash into his driveway and they're like, this is what we paid you for, is like, we want your brain. Like, he's like, take it. I'll do it. 60, I feel like, is doable in a very, very weird way.
Especially if they're like cameos or just like someone's here for a shot, someone's there for a shot. Like they could even just be like Wong for like 2 seconds. That was a bad example with Wong. Like one of the people from Multiverse of Madness that survived from I can't think of that city that Wanda just massacred. Like any one or two of those characters could be considered a 60 character, and it's like I don't really care about them, but
Yeah,
it's just a report to be juiced to juice it up a little bit.
Yeah, a question for you guys then for that, because that's my thought too. Spider-Man, like that's including cameos and those types of things, like people that they've penciled in that they want to draw. What percentage of those 60 characters would you want to have substantial screen time for a movie like Secret Wars, which you probably figure should be 2 parts, but you know, 1 or 2 movies of a Secret Wars, like, do you want half of those characters? Do we want a fourth of those characters? Like, is 15 characters enough for good screen time for a Secret Wars story?
I feel like a solid 30 of them with more than like I'm not gonna expose myself for how bad I could do film ratios right now. I'd say 20 of them for a good amount of screen time would be solid to at least set up like the story for Secret Wars. And then Secret Wars to get even crazier.
Oh yeah.
So the way I see it from like Avengers 5 kind of being the setup for Secret Wars, obviously. But from like last week's episode, we were talking about how they want it to be more grounded or whatnot.
That's
Like this will probably just be like just going around all of these different cities and Earth, teaming up and just getting like potential Young Avengers team. Fantastic. I don't think Fantastic Four is in it from one rumor or report. But just like you got New York to deal with, San Francisco cities to deal with. Just 2 alone would have a bunch of different characters in them.
okay. Real quick. There were 38 characters from every corner of the MCU that were in the final battle of Endgame.
Oh, really? And we know 6 of them are
That is from
no
Screen
longer
Rant.
with us.
R.I.P.
Yep.
But 38 were in the final battle. 38. And grounded Avengers 5 is going to be trotting out 60.
Makes
I
no
don't know.
sense.
It really doesn't. I know Rome's a friend of the show saying Fantastic Four, X-Men, and Avengers big numbers, and I agree. But then the big thing is, if it's to be believed, Fantastic Four aren't even going to be in it. X-Men, I don't think they're going to want to put a huge emphasis on Avengers 5. I think Secret Wars is maybe the time where they put a bigger emphasis on them, but I don't see them giving them anything significant in this movie. And then the Avengers are probably your bigger one, but then who do you focus on is the big question. Because, for example, if you're telling me, hey, all right, we're going to have all 60 of these characters, but only, for example, like you guys said, 20 or so are going to be the ones that we can give significant screen time to. And you start comparing everybody, and you take someone like Shang-Chi, who in theory really should be one of your key players in these movies, but then they're like, okay, you can either pick Shang-Chi or you can pick Scott Lang Ant-Man, who Ant-Man should also be in it because he's had experience with Kang. If they still even do Kang, he should be kind of your front runner to be included in it. But do we really want Ant-Man over Shang-Chi? Not really. At least I would say between the three of us, we don't. And I would dare say most people don't. So I don't know. It's weird. 60 just seems like one of those weird numbers to throw out. And again, going off of last week's news where they're like, hey, this story's grounded, by the way. It's like, ooh, I don't know if I like that.
Yeah, it almost feels like the Avengers movie is going to be its own like mini arc in this saga versus being a big saga ending event.
You know what it kind of reminds me of? Reminds me of Age of Ultron and then going into Civil War, but this Civil War being two parts of Secret Wars. Kind of like how the fallout of Avengers 2 led into like Civil War. But
yeah, I just there's still that gap. There's still that gap for me. And I think Rome's, you mentioned what we really again all assumed were going to be kind of the big three by the time we got to the end of this saga. And it's like the little two and the non-existent one. Like that's still tough. But yeah, Avengers 5. We'll see. More news will come out. Come back to the Point 3 podcast. We're going to be giving you more. We love positivity here. That being said, Deadpool and Wolverine is officially rated R. Spider Brando. What does this mean?
it's official. We've known about it for years, but Disney. Oh, I was just thinking. This is such a sidetrack, but legit 2 minutes ago, I was thinking we haven't heard that car this entire episode yet.
It had to happen at some point. So
Should we tell him he's late?
Yeah, I was gonna say he's late.
But anyway,
That's funny.
Disney officially has their first R-rated movie for strong body violence and language throughout. I read that so slow. I don't know why. Gore and sexual references. So typical R-ratedness to it. Like we've talked about a little bit on previous episodes, we hope it's not just cursing that makes it rated R. So I'm happy to see that one of the reasons is body violence, gore, and sexual references, which feels weird to hear out of a Disney movie, but we're all adults now, so it's time for Disney to get adultified. That sounds weird.
No. Let's
Oh, no.
Let's-
The Point Three
next
podcast
question.
is rated R.
Let's move on from that. Probably not the best piece of news to go back to, but we're gonna youngify things again. Young
Oh
Avengers.
no! R.I.P. that 100
Avengers.
sub goal.
Right? Shout out. Jake.
Oh,
Young Avengers reportedly by our best friend of the show, Daniel RPK, to start filming in 2025. Come back to us for more updates as we find out more about Young Avengers, because that's really all we kind of know about it for right now. Jordan, we did see that, and I think we kind of forgot it. But yes, Jordan Peele is in talks with Marvel. I forget what exactly, but to direct, I think it was a series, if I remember the news piece correctly. Next up from Fandom Wire, Josh Brolin, possible rumor to return as King Thanos in Secret Wars. Buying or selling this one, gents?
you know what?
I'm selling it.
I'm gonna. Nah, dude, I'm gonna buy
Oh.
it. I'm gonna buy it so hard. It's been bought. Purchase. Apple Pay. This is something that's like right up Marvel's alley, where there's like, you guys love Thanos, right? And we're like, yeah, we love Thanos. And they're just like, okay, here's King Thanos. What's he gonna do? I don't know.
Yeah.
We've seen Thanos how many times since Endgame? He's like the king of what if.
Yeah.
Crown him.
I was gonna say he's even in that new VR one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I buy it. I can see them doing it, and I see Josh Brolin coming back, especially after this next piece of news that was making the waves over the past couple days. RDJ, Robert Downey Jr., wants to come back as Iron Man in an interview with Variety. The official quote was him saying that it's part of his DNA. It's part of who he is as a as an actor. It's interesting to see him wanting to come back. Not interesting, but I think it's one of those. It just proves to people that as much as people like to hate on like the superhero roles and whatnot, it shows that these people clearly have an attachment to it because of what it did for them, especially someone like Robert Downey Jr., who gave, most of his older adult acting career for it. It gave it back to him, and then he went and did other things that he wanted to do, and now he's like, yeah, I want to come back. I mean, I'm sure he misses the MCU money, but also you got to think about it, Rome. Oppenheimer made a lot of money. And a lot of the other movies that he's been in have made money as well. So there's no reason for that. I don't think he's hurting for money. I just think creatively he did what he wanted to do.
Just like Hugh Jackman.
Just like you, Jack.
Not to bring up a wrestling comparison, but Iron Man kind of feels like a company guy. Robert Downey Jr. has always been vocal about, loving the process. And I'll be honest with you, I think that there's potentially two parts. One being he sees the MCU isn't, floating like it used to, but he can be kind of that rising tide lifts all boats type of person and really inject life back into the MCU, even if it's in a cameo fashion. I think we've always speculated, him coming back in some capacity. But to your point, Rome's here, a character coming back from the dead kind of screams desperation. Yes and no. I don't think people wouldn't want to see Robert Downey Jr. as a variant, which is, clearly run rampant for since Endgame. Variants are the norm, right? And him coming back in some sort of capacity, it would be a welcome sight for me personally. And I think a big box office draw. And again, there's still an opportunity to see some of the greatest live action superhero actors share screen. Hugh Jackman, Tobey Maguire, Robert Downey Jr., that opportunity is still there. And that's something that I think, a lot of people would love to see and kind of have that No Way Home 2.0 moment of just legends, on the big screen.
Yeah. You got to think about it too from the perspective of kids, right? because kids who are watching the MCU, by the time that, if you were 10 when Endgame came out, you were super into the MCU and grew up with these films. By the time your next Avengers movie comes out, you're going to be like 20, 22. When he, eventually cameos in Secret Wars. So that's seeing your childhood hero come back. In the same way, like kind of Lou, like you said, in terms of wrestling, you look at what happened this past WrestleMania with all the cameos at the end of this year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's desperation. I just think you're leaving money on the table, so why wouldn't you? From that standpoint, there's really no reason not to. And at times, it's all the next logical step, because if your heroes are battling, this threat they can't beat, who do you call? You call one of your aces
Mm-hmm.
to come in and help and really do an appropriate passing of the torch moment.
To himself. To save the MCU. I just want to see him again. I really do. And those toy sales. I need a new suit. I got to get some on the shelf.
Yeah,
I need some more
absolutely.
goods.
Some more Funkos.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll take another snap moment.
Yeah.
Next up, our kind of another mini deep dive. But last week it was confirmed for a month-long rumor now at this point. Giancarlo Esposito, right, joins Captain America: Brave New World. I don't think anybody had this on their bingo card. If you looked at the video that we talked about it, we thought Fantastic Four was the appropriate place for him. But no, it's Captain America: Brave New World. A couple of days later, or actually a day later after this news broke out, his stunt doubles photo was leaked over on X. And then the day after that, I believe, Giancarlo Esposito in full costume was leaked. We won't show it in case you don't want to see the spoiler, but we are going to talk about it. So maybe possible spoiler for the movie, but he is going to be a villain. That is what we do know. So Lou, I'll throw this over to you. Any guesses who in the world Giancarlo Esposito is going to be playing? And I want to throw this out there right now for the people that are saying Blade.
Oh, nah.
Kick rocks with open-toed shoes. Because that is one of the dumbest guesses I've seen. And yet a lot of people have latched onto it. A lot of people have said Blade. But I just want people to remember, villainous role, and there's no reason for him to be Blade. Thank you. But yeah, who do you think?
I'm going to be honest. I think he would be perfect, and I know this would be a retcon and they'd be changing things, but this should be the power broker, in my opinion.
Ooh.
I think that this should be the true version that we get to see, but I really can't think of anyone that would be worth it. If I'm being wholeheartedly honest, I mean, I've seen some things thrown around where it's, there could be ties in the Moon Knight, and it's, what's his name, Bushman or whatever, is that
Yeah.
the mercenary. Yeah, I mean, if you go back to Falcon and Winter Soldier, he could have been leader of the Flag Smashers. He could have been I feel like he could easily have tied into someone who actually spearheaded some of those antagonists. Who would I want him to be? I don't even want him in this movie. This is a very, very hard thing for me to kind of sit here and see the news that's led up to, is he going to be in the role? Is he not going to be in the role? We don't know. Is he going to be Fantastic Four? We don't know, but he could be some cool character. I don't know. I think Kang was the best shot. It's Kang.
Yeah. Spider Brando.
Yeah.
You're muted.
I got no idea, to be completely honest. I know he said that his character is original and new, so whatever that means as well. I don't know. It would be cool if he was a Moon Knight villain to kind of tease Moon Knight season 2 again, because they did say it's potentially gonna get like a series or something. Giancarlo said so. But yeah, like Rome said, Moon Knight isn't really connected to Captain America, so
No. Oh,
we'll see.
There's
Is the
not.
Serpent Society still in this? I believe they got axed.
Yeah,
so
there were reports. Daniel
But-
FK.
I mean, they could be adding them back in these 22 days of reshoots. I got no clue anything about this movie. Like
Now-
this is
Here's something interesting. If we go back to Falcon and Winter Soldier conversations, you remember a lot of people thought, now that we're getting the fallout from the snap, that they have that kind of global world commission type of thing, and Latveria could be one of those countries that kind of step up post snap to kind of help position themselves to just be, you know, all the humanitarian efforts and all those types of things. And Doom was one of those characters that, you know, in his human doomiest form, he would be kind of a political figure who would be associated with that, but obviously that never, you know, materialized. I think it'd be really late to add Victor Von Doom to the MCU in this capacity. I don't think there's enough runway for him to really get up to speed personally. Great actor. Just don't see this being a great scenario for him to get his own spin-off and all that too, but yeah.
Yeah, it's odd just because it's like it came out of nowhere, right? I don't think anybody was ready for these reshoots from, oh God, if he is. I know he's not, but again, I don't know if I'm alone in that, but I don't think we were really expecting another reshoot for the film. And then for him to just be like, yeah, I'm in it.
It's weird timing.
It's such a weird timing, because apparently this is like addressing something in terms of like something Tess audience had, if I was reading some of these like reports correctly. So it's like, what does that mean? First and foremost, was he always in this movie and now it just kind of got like, you know, they kind of had to say it. Yeah, they kind of had to say it because now was the time, because they knew people were going to start seeing him. I don't think it's a waste of an actor. They could very well surprise us with whatever they have in mind. But I just think what really throws it off is, one, appearing in this movie. Two, his costume just doesn't give any hints. It gives no hints to who he is.
He's Super Skrull.
I've seen no. I've seen people say Bushman. I've seen people say Gyrick from like X-Men.
Oh yeah, Trask. No, thank you.
Trash. But then it's like, is there a mutant in this movie?
Well,
like,
I mean,
okay. What are
okay.
you gonna do?
Let's ask that question then really quickly, and Dylan Romes and Spider-Man out, and see what you think. Could this be something that kicks off the Sentinel program? Project Wide Awake. This is kind of the start of, because I mean, you can go back to, they could take that Sentinel program and expand it beyond just mutants. Really, it's anyone superhuman, but this could be potentially a way that they search for Skrulls first and then go back to that whole theory of searching for Skrulls is how you uncover MCU mutants. And they come to the realization of, while they're checking people, there's that X gene that they're identifying. Miss Marvel could be one of those that they check, and those types of things, right? So that's why this could have been a perfect Civil War too. Like that, for me, I would have been all over that. But I like what Dill said too. Does this affect the leader being the main villain? How many people forgot that the leader was even in this movie after hearing that Giancarlo Stanton, shout out to my Yankees fans, Giancarlo Esposito was in this?
I was gonna say, was leader ever really going to be the main villain though? You know what I mean? Like I don't ever think he
I don't know,
was
man.
set up
They
as
say
one.
he's gonna be super green, like exactly like he was in the comics.
Yeah. Now,
Oh.
if here's my thing, I gotta throw this out here. I swear I'm a positive person, but here's the hard part of this. If they go Sentinels, Project Wide Awake, Weapon X, and this is truly centered around Tiamat Island, and he potentially is a scientist or somebody who's creating adamantium, or they kind of harvest it from there, and this is kind of what kicks off the MCU Wolverine. I can't say I love it personally. I'm hoping that this isn't connected, even though we have the 2008 Weapons Plus stuff, Ross, all of that. It kind of makes sense, but yeah.
I don't think, but if we're just gonna start throwing very wild theories out there, if they want to connect him into mutants, right? And they want to start setting the seeds of it and obviously make the mutant story a little different, but still making it, make sense into the wider universe. What if he's Mr. Sinister before his transformation into Mr. Sinister? Like he's, what's his name? Essex,
Nathaniel
something
Essex.
X's.
Yeah.
Yeah. What if he's just that? Again, it could be a new take on a Mr. Sinister, obviously.
For sure.
But if they're gonna go down the route of like adamantium and someone wanting to take it and exploring its uses, that's definitely the character that I could see it. So I don't know if that's how they want to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Here, Spider Brando, what do you think of this though? Because I think it brings up good ideas, and we're kind of going down a rabbit hole of theory crafting here of how we can kind of pull in the mutant piece. But in all, if we're building to Weapon X, if we're doing a Sentinel program, if it is Nathaniel Essex and those types of things, does that not just overshadow the main character of this film, who's supposed to be the leader of our Avengers? Does that? Yeah, go ahead.
It's just I don't want the villain to be like the shine of this movie. I want Captain America and like our new Captain America to be the shine, and going into excuse me, and him coming into his own as a leader. I don't want it to be like where everybody just cares about the movie because Giancarlo's in there.
I don't think they do.
I don't think anyone cares. Yeah, it's not like anyone cares about the movie in general. But
Yeah, but he's a bigger name that people are familiar with. He's had successful roles, obviously Moff Gideon, those types, like Gus Fring, Breaking Bad. Like he's iconic in a lot of ways. Yeah. Right. Yeah, boys. But Spider Brandon, what do you think? Pulling in kind of what Dill's saying. Someone saying he's going to be an original character, a rogue damage control agent? Question mark.
I don't know what they're doing with damage control, but they keep on wanting to set that department up with Miss Marvel, No Way Home. So it would be kind of cool to see like a new department leader get thrown into the phase. I don't know what they'd really do with damage control when we got like a whole multiverse and Avengers 5 with being crazy with 60 characters. So I don't know. I was thinking that he could be some form of like scroll. because we do have the Secret Invasion fallout that's still rampant, and I've always had my theories that I do low-key think Secret Invasion will have a huge influence on this, or Thunderbolts, because they got the president from there declaring war on Skrulls, essentially. So he could be like an original Skrull type character. Not saying they'll do like a Secret Invasion 2, but that series that he mentioned could be like another series like that that can maybe get like Gaia to return or whatnot.
Yeah.
So I don't know. The options are way out there.
There's too many options. That's
way too many.
That's just too many options to really make it like feel like anything sticky. Because then the thing is too, if you make him a rogue damage control agent, it's like, one, who really is going to care about that? Like, as much as Giancarlo Esposito is an amazing actor, I don't think people would care. You know? And then I think what is throwing everybody off and for the loop is just his comments on it about it's a new character and it's going to lead to a series. And I think it's more so the series part, because let's say he is a Skrull. One, why? You know, and not even why, but more so the question is why this movie? Right? Why set up a Skrull in this movie when this movie is already busy? It's trying to handle adamantium. It's trying to handle a celestial being. It's trying to handle gamma radiation characters. It's trying to handle Cap and the Avengers reassembling. This movie's juggling way too much. So to then throw in something else on top, regardless of how cool it would be if it is a Skrull, even if it is something mutant related, it's just too much for this movie.
Yeah. Rome's actually kind of like the Department H piece, right? Brave New World is kind of what seems like it's going to be a global movie. And again, addressing a lot of things that maybe a lot of countries want to get their hands on, right? Very similar to how they kind of presented it in Wakanda Forever, with countries trying to get vibranium. You got to assume the next piece could be, going after, what's contained on Tiamat Island. But Department H kind of focusing on the Canadian government. Giancarlo could be that kind of rogue scientist type of thing. And then you kind of break off into a Disney Plus show and they, Alpha Flight, those types of things. It could be cool. But I think all that kind of sounds better than what Brave New World is supposed to be. And I just can't see that overshadowing this movie. And I have not seen in the last 3 years Disney being smart enough to really have that much foresight to spawn something interesting that creates a really nice tie to Thunderbolts, to things that have come in the past. I think it's more likely saying things that throw people off to just garner interests overall. I feel like that's most likely.
Could be, but then I feel like the other end to that coin is if you do that and then you end up being absolutely nothing, you're just going to disappoint a lot of people. And people are going to be more pissed off more than anything.
Dude, people are going to be pissed off when they see this movie anyways. Like, so just throw some sticks into the fire. Yeah. Okay. Best case scenario for you guys, just to kind of wrap this up. What would you prefer, on the assumption that it's kind of a new character? Which plot thread would you like them to kind of take and run with? Because something's going somewhere with him. It's just what's the preference? What loose end do you want them to pick up?
I kind of like the Weapon X program with getting the adamantium from Tiamat Island and kind of like starting that MCU phase. Not saying to do like Wolverine and stuff, but just that reference to the program and seeing like what they could do with it would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm a second that. I feel like that's the best possible route. Setting up stuff for adamantium and its uses later on.
And it just gives hints to like future X-Men stuff, or when if
Yeah.
they do the reboot, then it's like we have some establishment already of it.
Yeah.
Okay. One quick question. Does he have any multiversal, like, is he from 616 or is he a character from a different universe or timeline?
616.
Open 616, because after that Venom trailer, I'm tired of thinking of all these where these people could be from.
Yeah, 616.
Yeah, I'll second that. 616, I would appreciate if he is some sort of science-based character. And bro, if Red Hulk is involved and Weapon X is connected, I'm just saying we went through a whole Steve Rogers saga and never got the comparison or connection with Logan. So, I mean, at the end of the day, for me, I just want them to be more accurate. Like, I want those timelines, and I really want Logan/Wolverine to kind of coincide with Cap. And I think that's just the best story told of why, Weapon 10 exists. And I just think it's really weird to spawn some really good storylines from a movie that's been missing for the last 3 years, 4 years by the time it comes out. If Sam had appeared in some other films and had some momentum, I would really be all for it. But they're starting from 0, trying to go to 100 when they should be at 200 and taking it to 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god. This is gonna be such a weird movie. But we're gonna remain positive until we know for sure. Until we get our first like official looks and everything, and the trailer and more pictures and whatnot. But until then, that means you gotta keep tuning over and over to the Point 3 podcast. Like Spider Brando said earlier, we are 2 subscribers away from 100, hitting that giant milestone. Hopefully we can hit it by next week's live stream. So if to those watching live, if you haven't, and those watching later, if you haven't, please subscribe to us. Most of you aren't, based on our analytics. So we would really appreciate you subscribing.
4K.
Yeah, Cotton 4K. But also, if you already are subbed, a simple shout out, we would really appreciate it just to get us over that 100 mark. But thank you once again, everybody. Until next week's live stream, 3 things you got to keep doing. We talked about them at the beginning, but you need to keep watching, you need to keep reading, and you need to keep nerding out. We will see you next week on the Wednesday live stream.